Okay, it doesn't seem like that went very well. Hi, welcome back to the Truth Doctor Show. My name is Dr. Courtney Tracy. I'm known as the Truth Doctor. And on this show, I talk about the world through a mental health lens using pop culture and the media as my medium. Today, I'm reacting to season 1, episode 2 of Arcane. I got a great response from a lot of the Arcane fans, from the League of Legends fans. And I appreciate you respecting my commentary, finding it interesting and insightful. And so I wanted to give you another episode and see if you continue to like it. I'm really excited because I actually found myself wanting to watch more episodes of this show and actually getting sort of into, in general, the animation and the character development. Like I want to know what happens and I want to continue to watch this great series. So I'm so happy to be essentially watching it with you. And I hope that you enjoy my feedback. Again, please, no spoilers so that people who haven't seen the show can be following along and so that I don't know what happens ahead of time either. So you guys can get more justification of my professional abilities, as well as just follow along, seeing how I interpret what's happening when many of you may already know what is going to happen. Here we go. Ooh, okay. I already love that they're showing the other side of what happened during that explosion. And they're showing that people go to the Undercity to get things just like Powder, Vi, and their friends went up to Piltover to get things also. A little more insight into what the blue balls are, maybe?
Be careful with that, please.
I believe someone should have said that earlier. What happened here?
Oh.
Imprisonment. What a curious principle. We can find the physical.
Oh my God, how cute.
The mind is still free. I do love a good conundrum.
What an interesting concept.
I remember the first time I saw you at the academy. Own your mistakes before the council. Admit your work was dangerous. But speak nothing of magic.
We know now that Jayce had an experience with his mother that led to magic being capable of bringing her back to life. The benefit that magic has provided Jayce in his life would cause any human to have second thoughts about whether or not to go into this conversation about what he's done wrong and to not bring up anything about magic and that magic is just dangerous, and to just admit that he did something wrong and that he'll stop trying to harness magic through science. That can be really hard to do when the benefits of something have been so seen in comparison to the downfall. All right, back to Vi.
Just don't take powder next time.
Couple things to note. One of them is the scoreboard on that wall. Vi was competing against herself. And I feel like there may be some symbolism there. One, she's competing against herself because she wants to be better and better, because she's sort of revving up for this revolution. But I also think it's very symbolic of the fact that she's probably competing against herself in her own mind. She doesn't want to address the loss of her parents. She doesn't want to address that she is engaged and exposed to an environment that she doesn't want to be exposed to. And so she's combating her own mind as well. And something about Powder that we saw here too, she said in the first episode,
I'm not a fighter.
And then when this friend is sort of making fun of her, saying like, oh, don't take her on the next mission, let's say, and it might go better. And she proves that she can compete. She can shoot and score and not miss, and then goes and sulks again. She's capable, but she doesn't want to have to do it. Will that change? I don't know. She seems to be getting really sick of people telling her that she doesn't belong. And that's probably important, because any person being told that they don't belong, they will find a place to belong and show the people that are telling them that they don't how and why they were wrong.
Give me a name.
There's that defending, right? Defending of the community, defending of the Undercity and all the people that live within it. I'm not going to give you my people. Oh no.
You need to hide those crystals.
Vi saving Powder again in this moment.
The boy's got ambition. It's why we supported him in the first place.
Ambition? Darling, he nearly blew up our daughter.
Jayce had nothing to do with that.
We crossed that bridge once before. We all know how that ended.
Just protecting
So
the
he
kids.
learned from that first scene in episode
I'm
1.
protecting our people.
For your birthday, Counselor.
Oh, Mel, this is too kind.
I'm told it was built only for the sharpest of minds.
Something very interesting here. We can see that even though there is this Undercity and then there's Piltover, even within Piltover, there's a desire to be higher, pleasing the head of council. It's like this constant uprising from the bottom to the top. And at the top, even when you get to the top, it's still not enough because we have a tendency to want more.
I want more.
Because we get satisfaction or safety or alleviation and so on from achievement of our goals or attainment of material or societal things that we want in life. So it's like as much as the people in the underworld feel like they're missing out and that they're not enough, the people in Piltover, to a degree, many of them, what we've seen, feel the same way. They go down, they take stuff as well, like we saw with Jayce. And then above, we see them, love me, like me, am I worthy enough of your attention and of status?
Jayce Tallis.
Okay, well, that's just a little overwhelming.
You're accused
Look at that
of
setup.
illegal experimentation and endangering the citizens of Piltover.
The council has more important.
Why is the Academy pronouncing this? Is
Perhaps we should just finish.
I was trying to create magic.
He said it.
My race was nearly destroyed by it.
Surely we, the pioneers of science, can use it for good.
I love what Jayce is doing. First of all of the different opinions of the people sitting at what I believe this is the council, people sitting at the council. Every single person has a different perspective based off of what they've experienced in their life and what it is that they're afraid may happen if Jayce were to be able to continue his studies and then have another explosion or just something dangerous happen again. That's overwhelming to deal with. And on top of that, he stepped forward and still stood in his truth. Part of me being the truth doctor, it's not that I know the truth and I'm going to tell it to you. It's that we each have a truth. And it's whether or not we can allow ourselves to live in that truth or not based off of the environment that we're exposed to, what our goals are and what we believe we're capable of.
I've seen this power in the wrong hands. It corrupts, consumes, lays waste to civilizations.
I have a voice that matters deeply. My son isn't in his right mind. His entire life, he's chased an impossible dream.
But he is never to set foot on Academy grounds again.
And he has to leave the academy. How hurtful, how disconnective that statement must have felt for Jayce. He held his wrist that had the used magic stone. I don't know what those are called. That saved his mother's life. And he's holding his truth that he knows that there can be good from this magic. Similarly to how the professor knows that there can be bad or danger that as a result of this magic. And now his mother is the one that's saying, basically, my son is a fool. He's chasing this dream and he has his whole life. But when people are let down, especially by the people or the environment that they were meaning to defend or support or honor, it hits us so deeply because it makes us question if we should continue doing it in the future. And if we do, will we have support? And I wonder if he's going to be thinking, was any of this even worth it if my mom thinks it's ridiculous and my mom being alive is the reason why I think it's so important.
No, you need to let it go.
I could have convinced the council. If my own family won't help me, I'll find someone who will.
Right. So he's disconnected now and he's going to find a different way. And that can be more dangerous because our support system, especially when we've had our whole life, can often know us the best and guide us in the best way. I think that Jayce's mom was just trying to protect him because he was about to get exiled from Piltover in general, but that doesn't take away from the emotional impact that saying that had on him.
If dangerous ideas didn't excite the imagination, we would never wander astray.
But when fear gets involved,
really invoke?
It can get messy.
Nonsense. It's far too unstable. No. Magic is far too dangerous in the wrong hands.
Magic is far too dangerous in the wrong hands.
Will he live? Power. Real power doesn't come to those who are born strongest, or fastest, or smartest. No, it comes to those who will do anything to achieve it.
My belief is that something happened to this evil guy that made him believe what he just said about power, about how it doesn't go to the smartest, the fastest, whatever it was that he said. It goes to the people who want it enough and will do whatever it takes to get it, basically. And that sounds volatile and dangerous. And you can see that there's also this like manipulation that took place just now. He worked on the weakness on the desire. The weakness was likely, I don't feel like I'm powerful enough. And the desire was, I want more power. And he knew that. So he has this way of convincing people to do things. And we see that so much. Manipulation in general happens on a fundamental level. And here we can see it's being used for evil. And for, again, that this guy has his own hierarchy too. He's all the way down at the bottom. It looks like underneath the water. And he's wanting to go all the way up to the top, gain as much power as he possibly can, and will do it by any means necessary. Okay, it doesn't seem like that went very well.
We can't be friends anymore.
So why are you out here?
I'm a misfit too, I suppose.
Regardless of whether you're at the top of the hierarchy or the bottom, no one aspect of who you are as a person defines you. We see a lot of similarities in at least Jayce, Caitlin, and Vi, Powder, and their friends, taking things from each other's cities, wanting things to be different, Jayce wanting peace and to be able to use magic for good, and Vi and Powder, Vi more specifically, wanting to combat and show that there can be equality and that there should be balance in between these two worlds.
Your attitude makes me question if your best is up to the task.
Oh, we'll find them. Don't worry.
With all due respect, Counselor, don't you think we've pushed them hard enough?
Whatever it takes. Turn the Undercity upside down if you have to.
Turn the Undercity upside down if you have to, by any means necessary. I think, they say everybody's getting afraid because this word magic is getting spread around, but most of the time people at the top have gotten so used to being at the top that the fear isn't only for the people that they're supposed to protect. The fear is for themselves also, because they couldn't imagine what their life would be like if they weren't in the position that they were in. And that creates a filter for a lot of people's decisions at the top.
Wasting your time. How about a proper drink?
I'll take the strongest shit you got.
It's like crossing a line.
Peacekeeper, were you?
That's to set the power differential. Like, I have control over you, even in your own space.
Yeah, shame.
Oh no. Hold on, Powder. Hold on.
You're just a small man in a little hole the world forgot to bury.
What a disrespectful thing to say. And it's interesting that he actually is smaller in physical size, and he's in a lower ranks up above than I would say Vander is. Like, Vander has more respect, but from his community around him, it might be upper in the hierarchy of the Undercity. And this guy is just, trying to take anything that he can and make it seem like bravery in a way. And by calling Vander out on his own bravery, it's a very psychological, and actually happens all the time with real human beings. Okay, back at the bridge, I think, from episode 1.
I grew up knowing I'm less than them, that my place is down there. I want Powder to have more than that, and I'm willing to fight for it.
Great insight into Vi's decision-making right there.
But who are you willing to lose? Milo? Clagger? Powder?
Powder. Now we can see the sadness that's beneath the anger for Vi. Angry that her parents died on that bridge. And we can see from Vander where his sense of safety and acceptance comes from. It's part guilt.
I want to help you complete your research.
No one thinks it can be done.
When you're going to change the world, don't ask for permission.
When you're going to change the world, don't ask for permission. That is probably exactly what Jayce needed to hear.
They're gonna work this time. I know it.
Me too. You know, Powder, what makes you different makes you strong. Always remember that, okay?
You can tell that Vi is questioning her aggressiveness, her vengefulness, whether or not she's actually going to want to go and fight if the lanes are going to go and do that. And she said another thing that I think hit Powder in a certain way, and she didn't mean it poorly. Saying what makes you different makes you strong. I think what Vi was trying to say there was like, stay true to who you are. Like, I don't know who I would have been if I wasn't told right away that I'm less than, which is what she said to Vander on the bridge, and that she wants Powder to have a different life. I think Powder and anybody could also take that if they already have this stance that like, I feel so different, I feel not good enough, to then think like, I just keep getting messages that I'm different and that I'm not enough. And I wonder how that's going to start to affect her self-esteem. It seems like things are coming to a head, and I don't know. We'll see with the decisions that people make. Oh, but what's going to happen? Oh my God, that ending. Okay, more characters are being introduced. We got more logic of why Vander has wanted to not engage in any of the violence, in any of the clashing of the two cities, because he has guilt and grief over the choices that he's made, and feeling semi-responsible for the loss of life that occurred on that bridge when he hadn't yet accepted the position that he was in. We see Vi making some changes currently and debating whether or not she should fall under the same logic as Vander to not lose her friends. And it is a very logical standpoint that Vander has. And at the same time, it's also logical for Vi to still not want to be in the world, and especially to want to combat this difference of world, because the clash itself resulted in the loss of her parents. We see Powder gaining more of an understanding, and it may not be a correct understanding, but from her understanding that she's different, that she's not good enough, and continuing to feel like she's on the outskirts. It ended showing her really sad, and even Vander looking at her differently, I think realizing that she's like losing energy and like losing, like maybe not feeling like a child, feeling lonely, just sort of losing momentum, I think, maybe just not feeling a part of. We were also introduced to Jayce, who has his reasons for believing that magic can do good things, because he saw that magic saved his mom's life, and also this disconnection between Jayce and his mother, when his mother is just trying to essentially save his life so that he doesn't get exiled. But now Jayce feels as though nobody believes in him, until we're introduced to Victor, who now somebody does. And there's likely going to be a clashing, because this magic usage is going to continue to, again, try to harness magic through science. And I think we also see some of the council and enforcer members starting to not be so one-sided either. And we're starting to get exposure to how these two worlds and the people that live within them are actually quite similar, even though they live in totally different environments. And what's the reasoning for that? Human beings are human beings. Yes, our environment makes us act differently, but often the underlying motivations, the emotions, and the decisions that we make are similar through the lens of fear, the lens of acceptance, the lens of wanting peace, stability, and safety. But it just looks different because there's different environments and different decisions and different people. The show is fascinating. I hope that you enjoyed my breakdown of this second episode. And if you want a third episode, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any questions about any analysis that I've made so far, let me know and I can respond in the comments. One thing for you to know is This is all a rough cut. So I just watched this episode for the first time. I have no notes. I'm speaking just on a whim from what I'm memorizing and analyzing as this episode is continuing. How am I coming off to you? And do you have any questions about my process? Because I'd love to answer that as well. Having a lot of fun with these. Thank you so much for being a part of my YouTube community. Don't forget to subscribe if you're liking this content. It really, really helps my channel a lot. As always, I'm so glad that you exist.